Hello lovely viewers, you are most welcome to our channel Poetry Online. In this video, we shall be discussing some past questions on interpretation of sentences from 1993 to 1998. Kindly subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get updates on all our new videos. Once again, let us assure you of a very interesting discussion. Get ready for this lesson. Mr. Wassce had done a lot of work for our company. We must therefore give him a run for his money. This means that we must A. Make him run a race for money. B. Give him a chance to win some money. C. Allow him use his money to run the company. D. Give him some reward for his efforts. The correct answer to this question is D. Give him some reward for his efforts. Over here, we grow tomatoes in and out of season. This means that we grow tomatoes A. On and off. B. Some of the time. C. Most often. D. All the times. The correct answer to this question is D. All the times. Though the job you've given me is really tough, I'm going to see it through. This means that I am A. Going to see what I can do. B. Going to complete it. C. Going to give up soon. D. Not going to see you do it yourself. The correct answer to this question is B. Going to complete it. My boy is very ambitious. He is setting himself up a doctor. This means A. He has illusions of being a doctor. B. He has already started his own clinic. C. He is against the idea of being a doctor. D. He has no plans of being a doctor. The correct answer to this question is B. He has already started his own clinic. I hadn't quite finished talking when the girl snapped my nose off. This means the girl A. Bit off my nose. B. Rudely interrupted. C. Pulled up her nose at me. D. Begged me to stop talking. The correct answer to this question is B. Rudely interrupted me. The woman sobbed out her son's death in a traffic accident. This means that the woman A. sobbed so that her son would die up in an accident. B. Sobbed while her son was dying in an accident. C. Has an accident in which her son died. D. Sobbed as she narrated her son's death. The correct answer to this question is D. This means that the woman sobbed as she narrated her son's death. Who will give an offer? The good second-hand car is going for a song. This means the car A. has a song in it. B. is sold very cheaply. C. has a radio cassette in it. D. uses a musical engine. The correct answer to this question is B. This means the car is being sold very cheaply. The silly boy has been insulting the woman for a long time. It is now time she squared up with him. This means A. She should ignore him completely. B. She should turn back on him. C. She should square her shoulders at him. D. She should insult him back. The correct answer to this question is D. She should insult him back. There is a vogue for exotic haircuts among the youths. This means that young people A. hate the current haircuts. B. go in for strange haircuts. C. like outmoded haircuts. D. do not like strange haircuts. The correct answer to this question is B. go in for strange haircuts. In spite of the unpopularity of his opinion, Mr. Aban stuck to his guns. This means that A stood steadfastly by his declaration. B refused to give up his guns. C resumed his status again and again. D continued as a hunter. The correct answer to this question is A, stood steadfastly by his declaration. Stella takes pride in her being a mother. This means A, Stella does not associate pride with motherhood. B, Stella respects only mothers. C, Stella is very boastful. D, Stella is proud to be a mother. The correct answer to this question is D, Stella is proud to be a mother. Jimmy's proposal are sound and down to earth. This means that his proposals are A, simple and thoughtful. B, good and rooted to the ground. C, realistic and practical. D, somewhat earthbound. The correct answer to this question is C, realistic and practical. The parliamentarians were taken to task for failing to pass the rape law. This means the parliamentarians were A, criticized, B, withdrawn, C, punished, D, taxed. The correct answer to this question is A, criticized. After the boxer was knocked down 3 times, his manager threw in the towel. This means the manager A, wiped the sweat from his body, B, lost confidence in his ward, C, accepted the defeat of the ward, D, didn't like the towel. The correct answer to this question is C, accepted the defeat of the ward. I'm not surprised that Tom and Dick are friends. They are birds of the same feather. This means Tom and Dick A, come from the same parents, B, have a bad reputation, C, behave the same way, D, are inseparable. The correct answer to this question is C, behave the same way. The teacher promised to make an example of any student who absented himself from school. This means the teacher wanted to A, cite the absentee as an example, B, report the absentee to the headmaster, C, punish the absentee to deter others, D, use the cane to punish the absentee. The correct answer to this question is C, punish the absentee to deter others. The ministry rejoinder to our story was anything but accurate. This means the rejoinder A, touched on all the salient points, B, did not explain anything, C, was straightforward and correct, D, contained incorrect information. The correct answer to this question is D, contained incorrect information. Quite unexpectedly, Toke's marriage plans fell through. This means Toke's plans A, were exposed, B, did not materialize, C, were wrong, D, became popular. The correct answer to this question is B, did not materialize. All the teachers who licked the headmaster's boots were promoted. This means the teachers who were promoted A, kissed the headmaster's boots, B, loudly sing to the headmaster, C, consciously seek favor from the headmaster, D, respect the headmaster. The correct answer to this question is C. Consciously seek favor from the headmaster. The new school prefects were advised to live above board. This means the prefects were asked to A. Be honest in their dealings. B. Use their authority wisely. C. Use the rooms upstairs. D. Be superior to their colleagues. The correct answer to this question is A. Be honest in their dealings. She was in the habit of stealing Peter to pay Paul. This means that she A. Stole money from Peter all the time. B. Took money from one person to pay another. C. Had many vices, one of which was stealing. D. Was a dishonest person. The correct answer to this question is D. She was a dishonest person. The film made my hair stand on end. This means that A. I was terrified by the film. B. I went for a new haircut after watching the film. C. I was feeling bored during the film. D. I was not scared by the film. The correct answer to this question is A. I was terrified by the film. In spite of your opposition, I'll vote for Kamara. He's cut out for leadership. This means that Kamara is A. Reserved for leadership. B. Bound for leadership. C. Determined for leadership. D. Naturally suited for leadership. The correct answer to this question is D. Naturally suited for leadership. The doctor raced against time to save the accident victim. This means the doctor A. Competed against the victim for attention. B. Tried to beat the time set for his recovery. Strove hard to save the victim. D. Tried to complete his job on schedule. The correct answer to this question is C. Strove hard to save the victim. We thought the demands of the students were right, so we came down on their side. This means that we A. Followed the students to their halls. B. Decided to support the students. C. Descended from the stage and sat with the students. D. Adopted their resolution. The correct answer to this question is B. Decided to support the students. She was reputed to have had a heart of gold. This means she was A. Very kind. B. Very risky. C. Very metallic. D. Very wealthy. The correct answer to this question is A. Very kind. He flew into passion when she refused his request. This means that he was A. Sad he couldn't help him. B. Unhappy with his behavior. C. Extremely angry. D. Indifferent to her refusal. The correct answer to this question is C. Extremely angry. Miss Clark was badly let down by her students. This means that her students A. Behaved badly. B. Were unhappy with her. C. Were not very clever. D. Disappointed her. The correct answer to this question is D. Miss Clark was badly let down by her students. This means that her students disappointed her. The Black Stars had us sitting on tender hooks during their match with the Red Devils. This means that the Black Stars A. Made us feel comfortable. B. Made us sit on metals. C. Left us in the heat. D. Made us feel very anxious. The correct answer to this question is D. The Black Stars had us sitting on tender hooks during their match with the Red Devils. This means that the Black Stars made us feel very anxious. The Best Student Award won by Bawa was a flash in the pan. This means Bawa A. suddenly became famous because of the awards. B. Bawa obviously became clever. B. Bawa showed a sudden success that can't be sustained. D. Bawa didn't deserve the award. The correct answer to this question is D. The Best Student Award won by Bawa was a flash in the pan. This means Bawa didn't deserve the award. He was beside himself with joy at the good news. This means that he was extremely happy at the good news. B. He was lonely despite the good news. C. He was sad in spite of the news. D. He stayed happy for a short time. The correct answer to this question is A. He was beside himself with joy at the good news. This means that he was extremely happy at the good news. Menu was blind to his son's faults. This means that A. Menu could not see properly. B. Menu took notice of his son's mistakes. C. Menu was angry when his sons made a mistake. D. Menu was away from home when his sons made the mistakes. The correct answer to this question is B. Menu was blind to his son's faults. This means that Menu took no notice of his son's mistakes. Since this was his first posting, the new manager is still feeling his way. This means that the manager is A. Learning for the job. B. Learning to walk in the dark. C. Afraid to take minor decisions. D. Acting slowly and carefully. The correct answer to this question is D. Since this is his new posting, the new manager is still feeling his way. This means that the manager is acting slowly and carefully. I've learned not to dismiss the views of the youth with a wave of the hand. This means A. I give their views due consideration. B. I openly reject the views of the youth. C. I applaud them for their views. D. I don't raise objection to their views. The correct answer to this question is A. I've learned not to dismiss the views of the youth with a wave of the hand. This means I give their views due consideration. Abedu decided to make the supreme sacrifice to save his nation. This means Abedu A. made a sacrifice to the gods. B. Sold his property to repay the nation's debt. C. Allowed himself to get killed. D. Offered an elephant for the sacrifice. The correct answer to this question is C. Abedu decided to make the supreme sacrifice for his nation. This means Abedu allowed himself to get killed. Kojo's election to the town council is a feather in his cap. This means Kojo has A. Kojo has a feather in his cap. B. Kojo has been honored. C. Kojo has become proud. D. Kojo has displayed his honesty. The correct answer to this question is B. Kojo's election to the town council is a feather in his cap. This means Kojo has been honored. Addison is admired for his ability to speak off the cuff. This means Addison can speak A. the truth, B. without fear, C. without preparation, D. on controversial issues. The correct answer to this question is C. Addison is admired for his ability to speak off the cuff. This means Addison can speak without preparation. At the lottery drawn, the spectators were all eyes. This means that the spectators A. kept wake. B. Did not protect their eyes. C. Watched the proceedings closely. D. Wept because they lost. The correct answer to this question is C. At a lottery draw, the spectators were all eyes. This means the spectators watched the proceedings closely. My blood ran cold at the awful sight. This means A. I ran away from the scene. B. I was not feeling well. B. My body temperature dropped suddenly. D. I was terrified with what I saw. The correct answer to this question is D. My blood ran cold at the awful sight. This means I was terrified with what I saw. I've won a scholarship. I can't believe it. It's incredible. The speaker means that A. It isn't true that he has won a scholarship. B. He completely disbelieved the news. C. It's impossible for him to win a scholarship. D. He's very surprised about the news. The correct answer to this question is D. I've won a scholarship. I can't believe it. It's incredible. The speaker means that he's very surprised about the news. The striking workers were holding out for a rise in pay. This means the workers A. were waiting to go on strike. B. were defending their demands for pay rise. C. firmly demanded and waited for the pay increase. D. expressed their anger at his release. The correct answer to this question is C. The striking workers were holding out for a rise in pay. This means the striking workers firmly demanded and waited for the pay increase. There were a lot of raised eyebrows at the release of the drug dealer. This means people A. cast glances at one another. B. opened their eyes wide to see the prisoner. C. were surprised he was not found guilty. D. expressed their anger at his release. The correct answer to this question is C. There were a lot of raised eyebrows at the release of the drug dealer. This means people were surprised he was not found guilty. How strong is your club? Asked the headmaster. This means the headmaster wanted to know how A. how many teams the club had played against. B. how much money the club spent. C. how many members the club had. D. how many members won medals at the athletic competition. The correct answer to this question is C. How strong is your club? Asked the headmaster. This means the headmaster wanted to know how many members the club had. If Jack listened to the persistent advice, he wouldn't have contracted AIDS. This means that A. Jack contracted AIDS. B. Jack didn't contract AIDS. C. Jack would have contracted AIDS. D. Jack almost contracted AIDS. The correct answer to this question is A. If Jack listened to the persistent advice, he wouldn't have contracted AIDS. This means Jack contracted AIDS. He used to be brilliant. Now, his performance is hardly anything to write home about. This means that now, A. he is brighter than ever. B. he is ordinary. C. nobody writes letters about him. D. he doesn't receive letters at home. The correct answer to this question is B. He used to be brilliant. Now, his performance is hardly anything to write home about. This means that now he is ordinary. Kofi can't take a joke. This means he A. gets angry at the least joke cast at him. B. can't cause laughter. C. is always very serious. D. isn't amused when someone plays a joke on him. The correct answer to this question is A. Kofi can't take a joke. This means he gets angry at the least joke cast at him. He said the newspaper report was false. It was only meant to drag his name through the mire. This means the report was meant to A. Make fun of him. B. Cover the public. C. Make the public hate him. D. Bring shame or dishonor on him. The correct answer to this question is D. He said the newspaper report was false. It was only meant to drag his name through the mire. This means the report was meant to bring shame or dishonor on him. John had cold feet at the last minute and refused to take part in the race. This means John A. fell ill at the last minute. B. Had a cold so he couldn't compete. C. Found it difficult to keep his feet on the floor. D. Lost courage at the last minute. The correct answer to this question is D. John had cold feet at the last minute and refused to take part in the race. This means John lost courage at the last minute. Joyce took exception to the letters I wrote to her. This means Joyce A. became angry at the letters. B. Liked the letters. C. Received only my letters. D. Had the letters except mine. The correct answer to this question is A. Joyce took exception to the letters I wrote to her. This means Joyce became angry at the letters. The pastor called down God's mercy on us. This means the pastor A. assured us of God's mercy. B. Asked for God's mercy for us. C. Shouted at us. D. Conjured up God's mercy. The correct answer to this question is B. The pastor called down God's mercy on us. This means the pastor asked for God's mercy on us. Stella takes pride in her being a mother. This means Stella A. does not associate pride with motherhood. B. Respects only mothers. C. Is very boastful. D. Is proud to be a mother. The correct answer to this question is D. Stella takes pride in being a mother. This means Stella is proud to be a mother. Fred has lost touch with his former school because he does not communicate with anyone there. This means that Fred A. has lost all his privileges in the school. B. has been forgotten by the school authorities. C. is not well informed about what happens in the school. D. has forgotten all about the school. The correct answer to this question is C. Fred has lost touch with his former school because he does not communicate with anyone there. This means that Fred is not well informed about what happens in the school. The businessman has made his best of the economic depression. This means that he A. made huge profit during the depression. B. improved his business tremendously. C. coped with the depression as much as possible. D. did not find anything wrong with the situation. The correct answer to this question is A. The businessman has made the best of the economic depression. This means that he made huge profits during the depression. Your resignation at this time will amount to cutting off your nose to spite your face. This means that you will be A. spoiling your face with injury. B. altering your face by cutting off your nose. C. injuring the feelings of others. D. acting against your own interests. The correct answer to this question is D. Your resignation at this time will amount to you cutting off your nose to spite your face. This means that you will be acting against your own interests. He had the shock of his life when he was told he had failed the interview. This means that he A. was extremely surprised, B. was very sorry for himself, C. suffered an electric shock, D. collapsed and died. The correct answer to this question is A. He had the shock of his life when he was told that he had failed the interview. This means that he was extremely surprised. She arrived in the house only to be told that her sick husband had passed out. This means that he had A. gone out, B. died, C. traveled, D. fainted. The correct answer to this question is D. She arrived in the house only to be told that her sick husband had passed out. This means that he had fainted. In spite of us being a missionary school, some of the students are light-fingered. This means that they are A. are thieves, B. have small fingers, C. are mischievous, D. can type very fast. The correct answer to this question is A. In spite of us being a missionary school, some of the students are light-fingered. This means that they are thieves. My brother-in-law has been called to the bar. This means that he has A. died, B. qualified as a lawyer, C. become a bartender, D. been arraigned before court. The correct answer to this question is B. My brother-in-law has been called to the bar. This means that he has qualified as a lawyer. Before the matter was settled, a lot of money had to go down the drain. This means that A. so much money was spent in building the drain, B. a lot of money fell into the gutter, C. the money was in the pipeline, D. a lot of money was wasted. The correct answer to this question is D. Before the matter was settled, a lot of money had to go down the drain. This means that a lot of money was wasted. Right from his infancy, he was considered to be the black sheep of the family. This means that he A. was better than other members of the family, B. was the worst member of the family, C. was always angry with the family, D. was the noisiest member of the family. The correct answer to this question is B. Right from his infancy, he was considered to be the black sheep of the family. This means that he was the worst member of the family. Thanks for watching this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share this video.